and perhaps I could use this opportunity to just speak to who we are as the World Climate Foundation, which is the organization that brings everybody here. So we are focused on climate platforms like the summits that we host, from Davos, which is where we set our agenda, London during Climate Week London, New York during Climate Week New York, and then at COP. We've been doing this since 2009, before climate and nature was sexy. So we are really committed to the cause, and we're about bringing people together and sharing ideas. We are about inclusivity, so you'll always find that voices in the room are as diverse as possible, because it's important to ensure that youth, women, people with disabilities, indigenous people of any environment are included in the conversations that we have. What's happening in the other room is focusing on investments. So the World Climate Foundation also brings together investors, institutional investors that are putting money into climate and nature solutions. Because with all our ambitions, with all the great initiatives, projects that we have in communities, it's important that we focus on those who are investing in them. So I'm not encouraging you to go next door, because there's going to be great conversations happening here. But one of the key pillars and one of the key activities that we do is climate investments. We have representation from around the world. So I'm Matsi, I'm the Africa lead based out of Accra in Ghana, and Johannesburg, I'm South African, in case you're wondering where the accent is from. But we also have representation from Taipei, from Asia. We have a team here in Brazil. I must be honest, working with our Brazilian team was probably one of the most exciting times, because they bring such great energy. And coming from the global south, it's important to identify that we're actually very much similar. We have similar problems, we have similar opportunities, but what I love about Jens, who's our founder, and what he's done with the World Climate Foundation is ensuring that we are represented. I remember I attended the Climate Investment Summit a few years ago in London. I wasn't yet part of the organization, and it was about climate investments. It was hosted at the London Stock Exchange. I was very excited, coming from Africa, being in London, being at the London Stock Exchange, which is the capital of capital. There were great conversations around emerging markets, around the global south. But when I looked around, I said, hang on, there's a bit of a problem, because I'm probably one of 5 Africans in the room. So there's not much diversity. And I was bold enough to go to Jens and said to Jens, listen, Jens, this is interesting. Everybody's talking about Africa. Everybody's talking about South America, the opportunities. But where are the Global South in the room? Everybody's having a conversation. There's one Global South man. Welcome. Where are you from, sir? Well, you put up your hand. Where are you from? Correct. Well, there's an African in the room. Well, there's you and I. But the genesis of the organization is that now we do have representation. And after that conversation with Jens, he said, well, come to our offices. Our HQ is in Copenhagen. Let's have a conversation, and let's see how we can ensure that we are the World Climate Foundation, and we are representing the Global North and the Global South. So I'm very, very proud to be part of the World Climate Foundation. My key and core mission is to ensure that there are voices that are coming from the Global South. So being able to come here to Brazil, having a solid team of people that have been coming from São Paulo to Belém, it was very, very important. And I must also emphasize on inclusivity. Every time we had a conversation around how are we going to bring the summit together, the team from Brazil was saying, well, we have indigenous people from the Amazon. It is very, very important to ensure that we have translation, because we can't assume that everybody speaks English or everybody speaks Portuguese or everybody. There has to be an element of inclusion. So Courtney is our speaker here. No. Is our speaker here? The keynote speaker. Okay. So that's me. I'm not a comedian, so I wish I could have done a couple of jokes, but it is important as we wait for our next speaker to be able to just share who we are as an organization. And so our next keynote speaker welcome. I would like to welcome onto the stage Mr. Shigeo Nakamura, who is the CEO of Ajinomoto. Welcome.
Bom dia a todos. Eu sou Shigeo Nakamura,
Good morning, all. I'm Shigeo Nakamura, president of Ajinomoto.
colleagues, friends, and fellow leaders. It is a true honor to join you here in Benin, at the edge of the Amazon. This setting is not only symbolic, it reminds us that the Amazon is both a treasure for humanity and the front line for climate and biodiversity, and a place where innovation, resilience, and equity are taking root. I thank the World Climate Foundation for convening us not just to exchange speeches, but to advance solutions that can shape lives, livelihoods, and ecosystems. Across the global south, companies, communities, and innovations are proving that climate action and business success go hand in hand. We are witnessing an extraordinary wave of ingenuity that is reshaping markets and redefining growth. From regenerative supply chains that restore ecosystems while strengthening farmer livelihoods to circular business models, turning waste into value and unlocking new revenue streams, to research partnerships and conservation initiatives, honoring indigenous knowledge. These aren't just stories of hope. They are blueprints for practical, scalable change. But the challenge before us is scale. How do we move more from prototype to platform, from small pilots that inspire to systems that transform entire sectors? That is why the next panel is so important. COP30 has placed resilience, biodiversity, and finance central to its action agenda. Today, we have the chance to show how Southern-led innovation can be embedded in global frameworks for lasting impact. This discussion is also personal for me. A few years ago, I had the privilege of serving as president of Ajinomoto do Brazil. Living and working in Latin America broadened my perspective in profound ways. I saw both the vulnerabilities and the opportunities in Brazil's agriculture sector. I met farmers struggling with degraded soil, yet also communities with deep knowledge and creativity in regenerating land and producing food sustainability. I also witnessed the huge scale and importance of cattle ranching in Latin America. Especially in Brazil, cattle farming is vital to the economy, but is also one of the major sources of greenhouse gas emissions. So they're underscoring how innovation in this sector can deliver major impact for the planet. That experience gave me a mission to connect the Ajinomoto Group's science-based solutions with local needs, and to help accelerate innovations that improve both people's lives and the plant's resilience. At the Ajinomoto Group, our foundation is amino science, over a century of expertise in amino acid research and biotechnology that we apply to nutrition, climate, and nature solutions. Let me share just a few examples of how this science is being applied on the ground. First, decarbonizing livestock production. Our lysine-based food additive, AjiPro-L, reduces emissions by roughly 1 ton per cow each year and improves feed efficiency, cutting costs for farmers. We are testing it with farmers in Brazil and scaling it with partners across Latin America and Africa. Second, we are improving crop resilience with biostimulants made from amino acid fermentation co-products. They help plants resist drought and heat, lower fertilizer and water use, and increase crop yields. Through the Japan, Brazil Green Partner initiatives, they are restoring degraded pasture land in Brazil, improving soils and farmer productivity. Finally, within a history rooted in improving nutrition through science, the Ajinomoto Group is advancing nutrition without compromise, where we are improving access to healthy, affordable diets from maternal and child nutrition in Vietnam to school meals in Indonesia, proving that better nutrition and sustainability can go hand in hand. Together, these initiatives show how science-based innovation can create value for communities in the Global South while strengthening global resilience. So, how do we turn promising prototypes into scalable platforms? I believe three things are essential. First, partnerships. Collaboration across governments, businesses, farmers, researchers, and civil society working hand in hand is what makes scaling possible. Second, finance and incentives. We need mechanisms and carbon credit models, such as Japan J-Credit scheme, to help farmers monetize emissions reductions and create new income streams. And lastly, localization with scalability. Solutions must be grounded in local realities, whether it is farmers in Thailand or cattle production in Brazil, but designed with potential for replication. At the Ajinomoto Group, our approach is to combine global science with local co-creation, partnering closely with communities to ensure innovations are both relevant and scalable. We are focused on accelerating solutions already on the table to foster global climate resilience. Friends, COP30 is not just another milestone on the climate calendar. It is an opportunity to embed Global South leadership into the global climate and innovation agenda. Agri-food system must be central to this work, and they are part of much wider transformation. From how we grow and source our food to how we make and move products, every industry has a role to play in building a circular, low-carbon economy that improves the well-being of people, planet, and the community. If prototypes are the seeds, then platforms are the forests we must grow, rooted in science, nurtured by collaboration, and scaled by shared purpose. With that, I am delighted to hand over to the esteemed panelists and look forward to explaining with you how we can scale innovation from south to north and from pilot to platform. Thank you very much. ありがとうございました。And muito obrigado.
Nakamura. Thank you, Mr. Nakamura. Thank you very much for that wonderful keynote and also enlightening us with your wonderful organization. Thank you. Great. As our keynote address did say, our next panel will be Scaling Innovations in the Global South from Prototype to Platform. And to do our moderation, we have Stientje van Veldhoven. I hope I said it well, Stientje. You know, in South Africa, we speak Afrikaans, which is very similar to Dutch. And thank you so much for moderating this wonderful session. And you'll introduce to us your panelists. Thank you and enjoy.
Yes, thank you so much. And I don't think my parents envisaged that I would have an international career when they gave me this name. which is completely impronounceable anywhere else outside of the Netherlands, where I come from. And I had the opportunity to visit your beautiful country, so thank you so much. And it's really wonderful to be here. Let me take a seat to introduce two wonderful panelists that we have here. First of all, and I'll start with Laura Motta, and she's Senior Sustainability Manager at Mercado Livre. She'll be speaking in Portuguese, so please prepare your headsets to be able to listen to all those wonderful things she has to say. A warm welcome, Laura, while you come to the stage. And then we have Meyer. He is ESG Director at Boticário. Grupo Boticário, for those who might not know it, is a Brazilian multinational company in beauty products. So I'd say to all the ladies in the room, make sure you get to know it. And I've understood that it means the pharmacist. So if we talk about climate and nature and this connection, Luis, a warm welcome. Looking forward to the panel. And while you are preparing and settling down, I'm also going to put on my headset to be able to listen to Laura. It's already set in the right channel. And for those who might not know the World Resources Institute, or me, I'm Stientje van Veldhoven. I'm Vice President at the World Resources Institute. You just saw our previous CEO, Andrew Steer. I'd say he has my vote if he'd ever run. But the World Resources Institute works to combat climate change, to make sure that we halt the loss of biodiversity, and that we work on development. And we see that more and more all those agendas are super interconnected. And the need for speed and scale right now is incredibly important. So I'm so delighted to have you on this panel to talk to us about this. I think that Jens mentioned, right, it's from the margins to Main Street. And I think more than ever, all of us are going to need those great concrete examples of how the transition is happening. And you are making it happen. And so I'm really, really excited to hear from you. We see, Luis, that Grupo Boticário has placed sustainability really at the core of its business. You know, it's not an add-on for you. That's why I loved referencing what your name actually means. So how did you lead that transition? Because it's also a mindset shift that you have to achieve. Can you tell us a bit about how you did that? Because if we shift mindsets, then we can shift worlds. So how did you manage to do that? Can you explain?
So first of all, thank you very much for the question. And first of all, thank you very much, all the guests here and the World Climate Foundation for the invitation to be here. First, as a Brazilian, to talk to the world and what we are doing here in COP30 as a Grupo Boticário, and also to represent my company as a sustainability director. But the first thing I have to say is that who is Grupo Boticário? For those who don't know, we are one of the biggest, largest cosmetic companies in the world and one of the largest cosmetic markets to the world. So we have more than 4,000 stores here in Brazil. We operate in 11 countries, but Brazil is the main operation. And also we have millions of direct representatives of sales, and we connect all this network to give beauty to the world with the cosmetics. But we are a Brazilian company, and we almost have 50 years of history. And for me, the simple answer for this question is that Grupo Boticário has sustainability in his DNA. But how I can explain why we have sustainability in our DNA? Because in the middle, in the beginning of the story of these 15 years of history of our company, 35 years ago, our founder started I'm very pleased to say, the Grupo Boticário Foundation. This foundation has this year celebrating 35 years of work to preserve the Brazilian biodiversity, also working in natural-based solution, and also working in the climate adaptation solutions for Brazilians and for the world. Grupo Boticário Foundation has more than 1,800 projects and invests more than 80 million Brazilian reais through the beginning to now to help scale solutions, to help NGOs to scale solutions in Brazil to conserve the Brazilian biodiversity. So if since the beginning of this huge company that the goal is to sell cosmetics, we have a foundation that is 100% support by our company. We are showing that we can do that we can do more for this world, we can do more for our biodiversity. And we learned for sure to bring sustainability also to our business. So we are, one example that I can give here how we are doing that is that 3 years ago we started to work how can we have our science-based target validated by the Science Based Target Initiative. And I'm very glad to say that 2 weeks ago we have our short-term and also our net zero targets validated by the Science Based Targets. And more than that, we also published our climate adaptation plan that we deliver to the world, that we deliver to other Brazilian companies to understand that we can do business and also we can do business that is sustainability even here in Brazil. So we have Brazilian companies that are doing a very good job. They are trying to improve their process. They are trying to improve the way that their operation, their logistics, or the complexity of Brazil as a continental country. We can do that. We can bring sustainability solutions together with our supply chain, together with our partners, to better address the climate and also the environment issues that we still have in the world.
Well, first of all, congratulations, and what a perfect timing. So ahead of
perfect
time.
time.
I think you more than maybe many companies, but maybe a prime example, I would say, of how we are nature. And I think your realization of how we are part of the natural ecosystem and how many of our businesses also depend on the relationship with nature. I think some people may not always see that so clearly, but for you it's really at the heart of your company, as you understand. And Mr. Nakamura, I really appreciated your reflection also about scale. Because if we truly want to change how this economy works, we're going to have to work at scale. And this, of course, starts from next practices. But so you are one of the biggest companies in this field in the world. And can you tell me a bit about partnerships? Because none of us can do anything alone, right? So I think partnerships are really at the heart of this transition if we manage to achieve, if we want to manage to achieve the speed and scale that we need. So can you talk a bit more about partnerships?
For sure. Big and complex problems as environmental solutions we need to have to try to solve these problems with a collaborative way, in thinking a collaborative way. And in Grupo Boticário, we have more than 4,000 suppliers. So to deal with that, we have to count with our suppliers. So I have a few examples that I can share. For example, we have 4,000 suppliers, but we have 4,000 stores, so it's a complex operation. In our factories, we already have renewable energy, certified renewable energy. How can we deliver certified renewable energy also for our stores? Because we are a franchise company, so we have to connect 4,000 other businesses that are truly connected with us to also the opportunity to have in a country like Brazil renewable certified and renewable energy. So we count with one of the suppliers to help us to try to put technology and also scale and to try to in 5 more years to have 90% of out of our stores with 100% of certified renewable energy. We still in the beginning, so we have 500 stores yet with renewable energy, but I think in 5 more years we can at least 9% we will try to achieve. Another example that I can give is that we use our 4,000 stores to put the consumer also in the sustainability journey. So we have what we call here the Bochi Recicla. So it's a nickname from the company, Bochi, and we do a reverse logistic program to the consumer, so they can deliver empty packaging from any brand any cosmetic brand in Brazil, they can deliver it, and they also have discount when they purchase, when they made another purchase. So we bring the consumer to the sustainability journey, we bring the consumer to our stores, so they understand what is his whole in this process. It's not use the product and then discard. You have to use the product and bring it back to us. So we're gonna solve the problem, we're gonna send the packaging to the cooperatives that we have, and then recycle again, and try, of course, to make new products with this recycled plastic, glass, and papers that we receive in our stores. To do this in the continental country that we have in Brazil is a very complex. So we need to count with transportation suppliers, we need to count with technology suppliers, we need to count with retail suppliers to be connected and to have a logistic programs, a huge logistic programs that we have to be feasible to the company. So we are doing this for more than next year we will have 20 years of this program, so it's something that we are very proud of. And to end, the last example that I can give is one that we are also very proud, is that yesterday we launched the 7th factory price station in Brazil. What is a factory price station for the Brazilians? Estação Preço de Fábrica. Is that we are connecting with a startup here in Brazil. The name is Green Mining, and we are trying to solve, because it is still very difficult here in Brazil to collect the materials and to bring the materials to the suppliers, to recycling and to reintroduce the materials back in the industry. So what we are doing is pay a better price to the collectors. I think you saw that we have a lot of collectors here in Brazil, so we pay a better price for them. We use technology that this startup has, Green Mining, and we send directly to through the industry using technology and very good logistics, directly to the industry of glass, of paper, of plastic, in recycling, in introducing this material back to our process. So it's another example. We have 7 factory price stations, and we're very proud because we are giving this legacy here to Belém. So yesterday we started this operation, so that's why I'm very proud talking about this another example of project doing with startups.
Yeah, wonderful. And thank you also for outlining how many different angles there are to making your company sustainable. And I think the role of the consumer, but also the role of materials in this entire energy and societal, economical transition that we are in is actually often overlooked. So thank you so much for also bringing that to our attention. People that might have known me in my previous role as Minister for the Environment of the Netherlands may know that I've worked a lot on circular economy. So it's always great to hear people that are, bringing it into action. And logistics, you mentioned, is such an important role. And Laura, I want to come to you because Mercado Livre, you are a special company, right? You do a lot. You drive sustainable innovation. You're a marketplace, but you also look into finance and logistics. And through all of those aspects, you're trying to drive sustainability. So can you outline how you do that? And what is the most important thing you're trying to achieve there?
É muito especial, acho. It's really special to be representing Mercado Livre, a Latin American company, in this event that is happening in Brazil. So, I'm really happy to be here participating in this panel. Well, Mercado Livre is a company that nowadays supports 9.5 million small companies in Latin America to sell their products and services, be it from our marketplace, as you mentioned, it is the biggest one in Latin America, or be it through financial solutions of our fintech, which is Mercado Pago. And we have been using technology and data for us to be able to not only contribute for generating income and employment in Brazil. 111,000 jobs are associated to those in the platform, but also to understand how can we promote sustainability through this ecosystem. When we look at our strategy and our challenges, our main impact is associated to logistics and to the products that are being sold within the platform, and the strategy has been used use technology to measure more efficiently things so that we can make assertive decisions thinking about the marginal cost of this reduction to define our reduction strategy for emissions. So now Mercado Livre has the greatest electric fleet, more than 360 vehicles, and beyond all the mobility, we also have a strategy associated to biofuels and technology, bringing telemetrics to our fleet so we can have more data and to be able to have more efficiency when we think about transporting products. So last year, when we think about the intermediary mile, we were able to reduce 20% of our emissions, bringing technology and efficiency for our logistics fleet. So technology is a fundamental pillar beyond thinking about electric mobility. I always highlight that in 2021, we have issued a sustainable bond of $400 million that was important to unlock and speed up this agenda within the company. So 50% of the resources were to build this electric fleet, and it shows the importance of these financing instruments when we talk about scaling innovation and to look at the structural challenges that we have. And apart from that, this resource was allocated in reforestation programs, thinking about carbon capture, thinking about loaning for small and medium companies, and for technology innovation for the youth, thinking about employment in the future. All of that thinking about the impact that we have as a company, and also thinking about how can we contribute to consumers so they are more sustainable. I think that piggybacking on what Boticário said about logistics, reverse logistics, we have a category of sustainable products within the platform in the 7 countries that we operate, which is a category that is curated for products whose consumption contributes for reducing impacts. That we're talking from composting products, B-certified products, and even the bioeconomics for small producers in the Amazon. We have a section of bioeconomy within the platform that seeks for the data and to help consumers to make more conscious decisions. And each time more, we have been seeking to understand how technology can contribute to users for them to be more sustainable. Another example of that, looking at the fintechs, is that recently we have launched a personal assistant within our app. And the idea is for them to be a financial consultancy helper to help users to make better informed decisions in managing their resources. If I could summarize, we're looking at the reduction of our emissions associated to transport, using technology for this management, the engagement of our value chain, thinking not only about transporters, but also about the big sellers and suppliers of the platform, but we are also using technology to be able to engage users within this agenda with us.
Much, and also for outlining basically an element of the social sustainability, right? Making people of the technology developments. And I love hearing from both of you, let's say, how you are also making sure that the conversation that we just had in the panel before on AI, how can these new developments also help you in driving that sustainability in all aspects of the words. Thank you so much for outlining that out. And can I turn a little bit to the bioeconomy, because I think it's actually what connects you both. And there's a lot of very small suppliers. If you think about the bioeconomy in Brazil, then of course it is one of those areas where we all think are hoping to see a lot of growth, but sustainable growth and responsible growth. But that's good for people and climate and nature at the same time. But then of course logistics are an issue, right? And so can I ask you, I think data is very much at the heart of how you make your decisions. Can you speak a little bit more about how you use that data? What's the kind of data you collect to make the best informed decisions? And how do you deal with logistics and with so many smallholder partners? How do you solve that puzzle? Because it must be quite a puzzle.
Eu acho que a gente está buscando soluções.
Well, I think we're seeking joint solutions, especially when we look at logistics. We're talking about structural challenges that need pre-competitive solutions. I think collaboration is very important when we think about infrastructure. So even when Mercado Livre made a decision to invest in the electrical fleet, this demanded us that we invest in the entire infrastructure. So we are partnering with other market colleagues to join efforts. So within the Alliance for Sustainable Mobility, we have been working with other companies like 99 to look at biofuels in terms of partnerships and also with the assembly lines. So all of the logistical issues we are dealing with through partnerships with other big companies, because if we bring together all of these efforts, we will achieve better results. But when we look at bioeconomy producers, like you mentioned, we have a program by the name of Biomas ao Clique that we launched in 2019 to support Brazilian biomes in accessing the market. So currently we not only offer training, but also subsidies for the entire logistics operation and the use of our distribution center. So currently we have at least 150 bioeconomy businesses that have their products here in the Amazon and other places that sell their products in our marketplace, and this allows them to sell a product and receive the compensation in less than 24 hours, and for the purchasers to receive the product through our logistics. And we understand that this incentive and support is important to contribute to the consolidation of these businesses that are aligning preservation and development. So it is both a collective effort when we look at logistics from the standpoint of infrastructure, but we recognize that bioeconomy needs specific solutions. So we designed this very customized program together with the territories, listening from the small entrepreneurs. What are the challenges beyond the ones that we already know: digitalization, logistics, access to the market? Because we understand that these products have a market development challenge. It is not a demand that already exists. We need to introduce many of these products to the consumer market. So we need specific solutions. And to conclude, I think when you talk about data, we actually built a dashboard to follow in real time the fleets and the transport that we do, so that we can control emissions and make better decisions when it comes to fuels, routes, allocation of products in the vehicles, and also thinking about safety, road safety, because when we're able to monitor these routes, we can also see opportunities from a quality and safety standpoint for our employees.
Looking at the wonders of the Amazon, thinking about how that amazing forest could leverage most value for the people who live there, but also I think through, for example, beautiful cosmetics for many more of us. A lot of innovation in many different ways is actually still needed. Now, the World Resources Institute that I work for does have a platform which is called P4G, Platform for Growth, Partnership for Growth, and it also supports companies with loans and grants to enable them to scale. And perhaps also in the context of the kind of work that you do, this platform might even be able to help supporting, let's say, what you're both trying to achieve, maybe even in connection, if I hear it like this, with those beautiful products, with the smart logistics, coming to the right market that then would also deliver the price that is needed for those smallholder farmers, basically, or smallholder companies, to actually make that living from a sustainable business model. So if there's any way in which we can support, if there's any way in which the connection to P4G might help you both in bringing even more value from this magical forest in a way that preserves this magical forest, we're very, very happy to also make that connection. I think it's very clear that you're both asking, let's say, for a reinforcement of the scale and the scalability that you asked for, the speed. If there was one thing that we could change, if there was one thing that at this COP, right, would happen, what is the most important thing that could change in your mind that would create that speed and scale even more? Can I start with you? What would be your dream in that sense? One thing that we could change?
I think it's not about my dream. It's about something that I always see when we're trying to scale innovation in terms of sustainability in our company. Is also we have to think in a collaborative way. We have to connect the dots. We have to connect the points of the network. So we have to listen to our supplier. We have to understand the complexity of the company. And we have also to look to our consumers and try to bring them, listen to the consumer, and try to bring them to the solution. Put all the things together is complex, yes, I know. But I think if we can connect, probably and invest and try to be very smart, do a smart investment, we can have feasible solutions to the business and also feasible solutions to the world in a sustainability way.
So connectivity is key, right? That's actually,
Yes, for sure.
and partnership, right? Like you already mentioned. Clara, to you.
Eu acho que trabalhando numa empresa de tecnologia,
I think working in a technology company, we understand the potential that technology has to simplify things and to create positive impacts. And seeing this in practice, I think our dream, or my dream, is that more and more technology will be at the service of people and of social environmental issues as a whole. I think, we created in 2020 a donation button in the app to try and mobilize donations with our users. And when climate emergencies happen, for example, like the floods last year and the cyclone in Paraná, and we're able to, in 5 minutes, mobilize our network and gather donations through a button developed through technology, and this helps the communities where we operate. We can see the impact the technology has. So my answer would be for all the solutions that are being developed in terms of technology, and also AI could be at the service of environmental causes, and most of all of people, because we're talking about people. And I also think that more and more climate change needs to look at climate justice and the people in the territories.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for these examples. And I think as we need these positive examples of change, how the transition is happening, you both showcased this so clearly in so many different aspects of this entire sustainability transition. And I think if we connect partnership with innovation and the drive to deliver not just for climate, not just for nature, but for people, if it works for people, it will work for the world. The inverse is also the same. If it does not work for people, it will also not work for the world. Then we will not get the scaling and the speed that we need. But if we know how to combine speed, scale, people, climate, nature, partnership and innovation, we can crack this. So thank you so much for all of this. Thank you for your great examples. The transition is happening. Thank you for showcasing that. And a warm applause for the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stientje,